Hello, everyone. Welcome to Recipe for Reality. Four faces today. We have Austin and Ingrid back. We're doing a fantasy draft once again. Survivor 40 several. Woo! So excited to have you guys back. Zach, I know we're all on tight schedules. I've got screenings later today for film festival. You've got rehearsals. Austin and Ingrid are planning a wedding. Like, this is a very exciting time of year, but also a very busy time of year. But this is like the only 5 minutes we could all get together this whole week.
True.
But Zach, I know you have to run soon, but let's just get right into it. Just brief thoughts on episode 2. Crazy. My winner pick's out, episode 2. TK was my winner pick. So I'm kind of fresh slate right now. So I get to kind of forge my own path, if you will.
A great week. Dylan dethroned as the perfect winner picker. Maybe not for Survivor. Big Brother. I mean, your Big Brother pick is still. Oh no, our Big Brother pick is still there. So I mean, it could be. Great episode. I understand the idea that there are consistently going to be power shifts. I understand that idea now. I mean, I think this episode was pretty clear in showing us kind of what that means.
Yeah,
we saw a lot of interesting back and forth between pretty much all of that blue tribe. I mean, it's a very clear understanding of Tiana kind of sits right in the middle. She's the deciding factor in pretty much every vote from here on out, whether it's going to go to rocks, whether it's going to tie, whether it's going to be majority. She's kind of that deciding vote. Poor Kyle. I feel so bad for him. The look on his face at the end of the episode was just heartbreaking. And as people who've played orgs, we've all been there. Great episode from a Red Tribe standpoint. I'm very curious to see how they're going to get Rome out, because they want to,
right?
Or they're either not going to get Rome out and he's going to finagle his way back in. I don't know. I'm not 100% set.
And the tricky thing with that is these one-time idols versus three-time idols. We saw Gabe take the three-time idol, but then play it on the first tribal. We see Rome and Sam both take the one-time idol, so that means Rome and Sam are technically probably getting a free pass. But Sam wants to play it on Andy, so now it's the question of even though these guys have one-time idols, they might not play it for themselves.
That's weird. So, This man. He had all of the women help him, and he's going to use it on the man. And if that's not 2024, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, really quick, just while Zach's here, Austin, Ingrid, what are your thoughts on the season, just so we could all get on this same page? Are you liking it so far?
I mean, like I said, I have been out of the home until about 8:30 most nights on Wednesdays, so I'm very much seeing flashes of the season right now. And driving home and him being Andy found the thing, but then put it back, and then hanging up, and then calling me again and being Sam found it. He can't go back and get it later like he wanted to, and stuff like that.
Hilarious.
But I mean, this is definitely, I feel a season of I can't tell yet if the choices that people are making are actually going to benefit them or not. I was absolutely pissed when they got rid of John over Andy.
Correct.
I was that was not the right move for literally anyone involved.
Yeah, no, if we would have done,
including Andy.
If we would have done this podcast after episode 1, I would have said this is the worst New Era season so far.
Wow. Okay. Just off one episode.
Just off of that premiere.
I was pissed. So angry.
But I liked episode 2 a little bit more. I did like TK, especially going into the season, but I get what he did that resulted in him going. So,
and it's very interesting because it's Gabe went into the season saying he wanted to play a Russell Hantz game, and I think that's what we're seeing. He's I don't care if I'm getting rid of a threat. I'm gonna solidify numbers over tribe strength, because he gets Tiana, he has Caroline and Sue in his back pocket. Really quick, thought on playing the idol. I think it's a great move. Some people think it's bad. Okay, Zach, because I think it's first off, you're not showing that you're close to Sue by playing the idol on Sue. So now people still don't know how close they are. 2, you secure your own safety in case there's a wild vote. And 3, you secure your own safety if there's rocks. If you go to rocks, you don't have to draw one. So I think, he only has it for 3 tribals. I think this was smart. He gets a free pass in the next round. And also because it didn't negate any votes for him, he's still not looked at as a big threat. He still has Caroline and Sue.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree. Okay. I think he's looked at. I think he's looked. He went out and found the idol. He's gonna go out and find it if they rehide it. Everybody knows that Gabe takes things, and everybody knows that Gabe's going to look for stuff. I think it just it is for me. If I'm Caroline, the first thing I'm thinking is, you showed me that idol for trust, and then you immediately got rid of it. So like, was it like, why that could have been useful for us? So like, how much did you actually trust me? Did you trust me enough to like keep it? You didn't trust me enough to not play it on yourself?
Sure.
So I think that's going to be a bite you in the butt sort of along the way. I can see a world where Caroline is like, I don't want to do this. I'm not dealing with this.
I do agree that the potential downside of it all is the Caroline of it all. Like, I don't think it's going to affect Sue in any way.
No.
I think Sue is like fully locked in with Gabe. But I do see where Zach's coming. I do think. See, I thought it was good until Zach said all that. Like, I do get it. But I think to add on to the list of things that Dylan said was good about it, like it also, and I think what Gabe can like explain off is that it wasn't that he didn't trust Caroline, it's that he didn't trust Tiana to be voting with them, and he played it as a way that if Tiana didn't vote with them in the initial vote, he can look at her and be like, if you don't flip your vote, you have a 1 in 3 shot of going home because I won't be drawing a rock.
Let's see if he's good enough to do that. Because he could be.
I think it's very interesting. Blue is the most like unclear for me, whereas I think yellow, it's very clear that Sam wants Andy in his back pocket. He's close with Sierra. It seems like they might make the move against Annika or Rachel. But then like red, Rome has the idol, so it's really whoever Rome decides to idol out, or if Rome stupidly decides to play it on someone else, Rome could go home, or they could split the votes. But like I think
Dylan,
blue is the hardest one to gauge because right now Kyle seems like he's on the outs, but he's the strongest guy. And if they get rid of their 2 strongest guys, I think they're toast. But then their next option, what was that?
Is Kyle stronger than Gabe?
Not really.
I don't know. I mean, he got that really good drone shot in episode 1 of him like running. He's very fast. Yeah. He's the fastest runner. I don't know if he's the strongest guy, but either way, like I think you know, there's gonna come a point where Sue and Caroline are just gonna be the weakest. But I do think Gabe, like the Russell Hantz game that he's playing, wants to keep that around. So we'll have to see. I don't know where blue goes. Yeah, Zach.
Not to rush us, but I do have to leave.
Yes. So really quick, Zach, set the order for the draft. Do you want to go first, second, third, or fourth? Because you won the last one.
I already told them I'm going first. I want my first pick.
And why don't you tell us who you're taking first? So you can have an official pick here because last draft you didn't draft at all and you won.
And I did a good job.
But we're gonna let you see a pick one.
I did a good job.
Big shout out to Haley Keener. I'm on the Teeny train. I will always be on the Teeny train. I think Teeny is the player to watch out for this entire season. I don't know if Teeny wins, but I do know that Teeny is going to get a lot of confessionals. It's very clear based on the edit to me that I think she's going pretty deep. I think that she's got that entire red tribe wanting to work with her. She's a social chameleon. There is no way, shape, or form that I can see, knock on wood, someone deciding that all of a sudden it's Teeny who needs to go versus Rome versus Jen. And Rome also is not on the Teeny of it all. He's on the Aisha of it all. So I think that if anybody's seeing his idol, it's probably Aisha, who was like almost my number 1 pick, if I'm being honest. But shout out Haley Keener. Teeny train for life. Teeny, when you watch this, because I know one day you will. I love you and I hope that you win because you're my winner pick. Doing well so far. No first boot. Dylan, the list that I sent you is both my safety ranking and my draft order.
Ooh, very interesting. Okay, I will honor that and tell you at the end what my ranking and what yours is because I have it written out as well. But thank you, Zach.
People so much. Thanks for watching, everybody.
We'll cycle back with the 4 of us. I want to do this like later down the line. Just so we can update and just actually get to talk about the season in full.
That'd be cool.
Once, yes,
that'd be
exactly.
Cool. Anyway, love you all.
Thanks, Zach. Bye.
Hey, Zach.
That's always fun. A little pop.
Wait, this feels unfair that you know Zach's whole draft order and we don't.
I did not look at it yet, so I'll pull it up as we go. I have my own order as well. As we learned last year.
I'm
gonna look at our little whiteboard over here that has the names and just pick
so
one
just for people watching who haven't heard our draft rules, I didn't want to do all this while Zach was here because I wanted him to get his pick in, but it is Teeny. But our winner, if you draft the winner, you get 7 points. That's the biggest one.
I can't believe.
If you survive a day, you get a point. So if anyone makes it to day 10, they get 10 points basically. Find idol 3 points. Successful idol play 5 points. Now I think we've had like a debate on what a successful idol play is, whether it's just if you negate votes for yourself, it's a successful idol play. But do we want to say like Gabe's idol play is successful because he survived Like, how do we want to define it now as a successful idol play?
I feel like anybody who plays an idol is going to survive. So, like, I feel like that's not enough. I think that they have to.
I think the idol has to negate a majority of votes.
A majority of votes. Okay. Because we didn't have any idol plays last year, so
there are a couple exceptions to that rule, and you probably know the one that comes to my head immediately when you say that.
No, I don't. But what I think it should be is that, and I think sometimes we can discuss it as like a group and land on, well, what about this wild thing that just happened? Can we consider this
right? Basically, if I draft Gabe, then I would like successful idol play to be Gabe. No, I'm kidding. No, but I do think well, we could discuss what exactly successful idol play means. But granted, like
I think that's the ground rules though.
Yeah, if it's like a Kelly Wentworth, you get 5 points. Yeah, you're gonna get 5 points if you successful idol play. Successful shot in the dark play, which is a little more clear cut. That's the Caleb or the Jamie of it all. Is 5 points. Individual immunity win is going to be 5 points. That doesn't come till later, but tribal immunity wins are 2. If you sit out, you do not get the tribal immunity win. We've made that rule. That kind of makes it a little bit more fun. 10 or more confessionals in an episode, which we're getting a lot of in this 90-minute era, is 2 points. If you get the episode title, which Sue right now is the only one currently with one because John went home, is 1. A vote against, you get -1 point, and then a medevac is -2 points, and a quit is -5 points.
I have a potential. I know this is unprecedented and random, but I just thought of it while we were sitting here debating what a successful idol play is.
Okay, yeah.
So I kind of have maybe a suggestion / idea for a change of how we do the points on both successful idol play and successful shot in the dark.
Yeah.
What if it was 1 point per vote negated?
Ooh.
There you go. Let's do that. So
that's
if you
really smart, because then we don't have to debate about it.
Yeah, and then it would naturally end up being like 5 points if
I also
think
negate
5 points against themselves.
Yeah, I also think for shot in the dark you get 1 base point if you actually drew the safe one, and then it's 1 point per.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna just write this down. So 1 point if your shot in the dark thing says safe, and then 1 point per vote negated because of that.
Yeah.
For a vote negated.
Like
so
Jamie, like she got safe, but nobody voted for her.
Yeah.
Right. So she would get 1 point. Caleb would get like 10 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Or 11 points, however many you got. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a cool way to like go forward. That way we don't have to like debate about it every time. I also thought of a fun one we could add. What if we just put like fire making winner? That way there's a little bit more stake in like the finale, because like sometimes like the winner takes it all, but it's like, what if it like we give like unless you're Ingrid, I'm so sorry, but yeah, like what if we just give like 3 points if you win?
I was gonna say 3.
Yeah, 3 points for fire making. Any other ones we want to add right now?
So if 3 for fire, maybe like 2 for being the person who got taken to the end, like social capital.
Yeah,
maybe.
There we go. Yeah, so you basically get an extra point for making final tribal by being taken. Yeah, There we go. And if it ends up being like a Rick Devens situation, Chris Underwood, then I guess no one would be taken, right? It would just
be exactly.
We wouldn't include those points. But if it's like Jam who gets taken and Carson goes in fire or something. Oh no, that was exactly what I just said, because Heidi put herself in fire.
Yeah,
that example.
But when Ben took Charlie,
yeah. So Charlie would get 2 points.
Charlie would get the extra point, and then Kenzie would get extra points for winning fire.
Yeah, and Ben would have got 5 for individual immunity. So yeah, perfect. Any other
last place?
Austin,
I was also thinking it might be fun to negate points if you get 0 confessionals in an episode, because if you are that irrelevant that you do not get featured at all, I don't know. That might be
90-minute episode. That's crazy.
It's happened before. I don't know though. I don't know how often it's gonna happen. That's why I was like, maybe we just like negate 2 points for that, just for fun. But I'll let you guys decide. Do you want to do that one too, or no?
Let's negate 1. I don't know about 2.
Austin's if I get Genevieve on my draft, I'm gonna be mad.
-1 for no confessionals. Yeah, that just keeps it more interesting. I think we just keep adding to it every year. That way it keeps things fresher.
I was literally watching the episode last time, and I was looking at my board over here. I was looking at the show. I was like, who's Genevieve?
Right. And it's very funny because I think she is the boot for Red if they go, because like I really think Rome is gonna play that idol, obviously, but I don't think he's gonna be the sole vote to eliminate someone. I think they're gonna be smart.
I would hope that they split.
Yeah, but we saw with like with Caleb and J Maya, they didn't split. If J Maya had put one vote on Emily, J Maya's safe. We talked about that. So all right, let's get into this draft. I believe we picked the order based on how we placed. So Austin, you placed second in the last draft behind Zach. Would you like to go second, third, or fourth in this draft?
I'm thinking. Hold on. Because I know who my first pick is, and I have to decide whether or not I think one of you two is going to take them before I would, if I wanted to go later.
I'm going to take them, Austin.
You
I don't even know who it is, but I'm going to take them. Just to make you sad.
You know what? I'll just go second.
Okay. So Austin's going to go second. I will go... I don't remember where I went last. I went fourth last time and it didn't work for me, so I'll go third this time. So Ingrid, you're going to get the...
I just want the listeners to know. I had Kenzie on my draft for 46.
Yeah.
And I came in last.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, let me recap just who everyone had just to see, because it was quite surprising.
I don't even remember who else I had, so I probably had
that's why I was gonna look. You had Tevin, who we thought was just gonna be a confessional machine and stuff, and ended up being a lot less of a presence than we thought. And you also had Mariah and Banu, who were two pre-merge.
Rip.
Boots, or Mariah was the merge boot or whatever.
Yeah.
Austin, you had a pretty stacked tribe, Austin. You had Maria, Liz, and Tiffany, who all made it deep, and you had Soda, who made the merge. So that was
I took Banu over Liz because I hated Liz that much. I remember.
It was simply the fact that Zach had all the people winning challenges.
Yeah, Liz ended up with 34 points total, which is not too bad. Zach, Charlie was really what did Zach. Zach had Charlie first. He also had Hunter and Q, who were huge presences. The thing with Q, though, is Q got a lot of votes against him, so he only finished with 21 points. Which is less than a lot of people would expect. Tim was right behind with 19, so like Q didn't get a lot of points as much as you thought he was like the biggest character of the season, which he was, but like very interesting. And then he had Hunter and Tim. I had Venus, Jem, Ben, and Randon. Randon really screwed me because he got medevac the night we drafted. So
literally an hour later.
I was like, I was so bummed. But yeah, and then Jem goes out with the
fate for a whole episode.
Yeah. And then Jem goes out with an idol 2 episodes after that. So I was really relying on Ben and Venus. And Ben got me a lot of points. Ben had the third most of the season. So it was Charlie and Kenzie had 50, and then Ben and Maria had 41. So
I would like to institute an idea, another point change.
Oh my God.
Okay. I love to hear it.
What's the current loss of points for being voted out? Is there a loss of points if
you get a vote per vote against? So 1 vote against you. So if you're voted out 5-1,
I think you should also -2 points if you're voted out with an idol.
Oh, you know what? I would say -5.
Oh shit! Okay.
Because we saw it so much last year that if they make the stupid mistake let's do that, because I know that keeps it fun.
I would have gotten closer to.
I'm okay with -5 for
-5 idol in pocket.
Closer to the top.
And you know what? If you're James Clement or Kelly Kim, -10, because that's 2 idols. I love Kelly Kim, and I like James.
We don't blame Kelly Kim.
No, we don't blame Kelly Kim for that. But an example.
She's never done anything wrong ever.
No, she's perfect.
All
right,
Kelly
so
Kim
let's
for season 50.
Oh God, I wish. I don't think she would, but yeah, Austin, you have the second pick now. Teeny's off the board. I haven't calculated how many points everyone has right now. I'll do that for the facts. So I'm kind of going in blind. I don't know how many points everyone has, especially adding all these new factors in. But
the answer to the question you're about to ask me, is Sam.
That would have been my pick too, so Austin.
Thank God.
That's not who I thought you were going to pick. That I was like, I'm going to take them.
It's
a good pick, though.
I knew I needed to take Sam. I mean, already just in that second episode, one thing that I do remember seeing on Survivor Fact Checker on Instagram, who posts a bunch of like stats about the episodes afterwards and everything. Sam is now like tied after this past episode with like the third most confessionals in a single episode by a Survivor player. With 16, I think, in the last episode.
Yeah.
So if we're already in episode 2 getting that much Sam content, I feel like that's going to continue. And I think he can be I don't see Sam not making the merge with just how much. I mean, it could be. I will say I've always had this theory or idea, like looking back on seasons, that the fourth boot always seems to be someone that they highly focus on early on. One of like the biggest things that I can think of, that like one of my main points to that is I always think about Malcolm and Game Changers.
We don't talk about Malcolm and Game Changers. We don't do that. In the
so
South.
Both Malcolm and Game Changers and Jeff Varner in Second Chances are both two people that they are highlighting so much in those first 4 episodes. You're like, oh, this is like one of the main characters of the season. They're definitely here for a while. And then Blindside, fourth boot.
Right.
So like, unless that's what we're getting from Sam, but again, he has that idol.
Yeah,
I don't think he's in any danger on this tribe anytime soon.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of it, like we think about confessionals, like a lot of the time it's for visibility because they want us to love them, so it shocks us when they get blindsided. But I think a lot of this was just circumstantial too. It's like he had to go through a very intricate process, which is why I wanted to pick him, because he was so good about handling this. Where it's like, okay, Annika knows I have it because she's with me, so I have to tell Rachel because I know Annika's going to tell Rachel, but I want to tell Sierra first because she's my number one. But then I have to make sure I still tell Rachel because Annika tells Rachel. It was just really smart, and then to even rope Andy in, not necessarily show him that he found it. That's my only worry for Sam, is that when he does play the idol, because he has to at the first tribal if he wants to, and he's probably going to play it on Andy. Andy went to the tree and was like, "It's gone." Sam took it. So how is Sam going to get out of that once Andy's like, wait?
I think if Sam plays it on Andy, Andy's going to be like, all right, we're good.
I think that will be enough.
We're good.
I agree. I think Andy's mind is so extrinsically motivated that like I think that'll be enough for him.
Yeah, he probably won't even think about the fact. Yeah.
I think it puts a question in the girls' heads.
Yeah. I also would.
Why did he play it on Andy and not on us?
I also wouldn't put it past Sam to come up with a believable story to Andy of like, Andy, I got Sierra to give me her idol. Like, do this whole like story of like Sierra's the one who found it, but she gave it to me.
Yeah, I didn't even think, Ingrid, about that point. You're right. Like, if he plays it on Andy, what are the girls going to think? And obviously, it would be to get out one of the girls, probably Rachel or Annika. But the whole thing is he would need to tell Sierra, I think, before. But then why play the idol on Andy anyway if Sierra's going to vote with you? But I could see a world where he gives the idol to Andy and says, just play it for yourself. It's only good one tribal.
Well, but they all know that he has it still, so they would still know.
True.
Like, everyone on that tribe except for Andy knows Sam has that.
I think he has to play this perfectly because this could backfire. But I do think he is a good enough, capable player where it won't.
I think if he can like talk Sierra into being okay with Andy staying, then he doesn't even need to play the idol.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing I could think of that could be wild is if Sierra then goes to the girls and votes out Sam. Like, and that would be a big boss move for Sierra, which I think would be pretty damn cool. Which is why I'm gonna pick her as my first pick, Sierra. Even though I'm not looking at her as like a winner pick. I just think being tied to Sam, who's like the biggest strategist, is enough for me to be like, okay, I think she's going to be in it for the long haul. I don't think she's going to be the first, second, third, or fourth boot of that tribe. You know, I think they would go for the other two girls first, or Andy.
I was going to pick Sierra if she was still there when it got back to me.
Yeah. And I do think just the foreshadowing of her making fire in the first episode, and like she gets fire in the intro. Like, I do think there's a world where she's our fire, at least in fire, and necessarily, I don't know.
I think Sierra could win the season, honestly. Like,
I mean, she's very well rounded
to where she could.
Yeah, and we're already hearing her perspective where she's like, I got to keep an eye on Sam. I trust him, but like I also want to play my own game. Like she's being cautious enough. She's not my favorite. Like there are other players I'd like to pick before her in terms of who I want to root for. But I think Teeny and Sam were the two I was looking at as like potential winners. Now that TK's gone, is like this is who I want to pick as my winner pick. I think Teeny bounced back from getting caught with the box really well. And I think Sam just had a really good episode or 2 episodes being the glue guy. He's given those quotes, but I feel like Charlie was that guy as well. So I could see a world where Sam is just like not making the social bonds, but Charlie did too. It just was a weird circumstance that Charlie lost. He just lost to a more social player. So I think next to them, Sierra at least is the more like winnery pick of them. Even though I don't necessarily think she's gonna be a confessional machine or anything, but
I think Sierra's a great pick. I would have picked her if she was still there on the bounce back.
Nice. Ingrid, any thoughts on Sierra?
Yeah, I really like her. She was definitely somebody that has stuck out to me as somebody who's watched probably 90 minutes total of the season so far, which, matters. And, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying of like, she she understands that her closest ally is also going to be a threat to her game. And like we are being shown that she's navigating that, which is important. Harping back to the John and Andy thing, like, I don't know that she made the right choice. Like, I feel like she was one of the people who was talking about like challenge strength and whatever. And like, I don't think that John is that much worse than Andy. And so like, I feel like that was kind of a dumb reason. And now Andy is this guy that Sam has in his pocket rather than Andy being somebody in her pocket. And I feel like I'm worried that could haunt her down the line, depending on what Sam does with the idol and what Andy does and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that like overall she's doing well. I think she's visible, which is important in terms of the way that we do our points and things like that. And I don't see her going anywhere. I see all three of the other people outside of her and Sam going before her.
I agree
on this tribe. So it's definitely a good pick.
Yeah, I think it would be funny. You were talking about like whether it's going to come back to bite her. Imagine in a final 3 scenario or final 4 where like Sierra, Sam, and Andy are all there, and then Sam wins the final immunity and takes Andy, puts Sierra in fire. Like that'd be nuts.
Yeah.
That'd be like heartbreaking, but it would be like, you know, that's like Cody Jesse. Yeah. All right, Ingrid, you get 2 picks back to back because we snaked this draft. So who's going to be your first pick? Yeah, that's the bonus.
About this is I was like, I'm in between 2 people, but now I can pick both of them. I think, okay.
I know my next pick that I'm not going to end up getting, but it's okay. I know it's going to be one of your 2, or it's going to be his. Go ahead.
So I think I'm going to have my first pick be the one that I think more people want to take so that I can be like, hee hee hee. And I think I'm going to pick Aisha.
That's fine.
I
knew when I took Sam, I wasn't getting Aisha.
I knew Aisha was going to be a first rounder. So, yeah.
She's had content in general, but also, like, she bounced back from the not getting the thing at the, you know what I'm talking about, her versus PK at the thing.
The journey.
Yeah, the journey. Like, she bounced back from that really well. Like, really well. And, like, obviously she has somebody like Teeny on her tribe who knows who she is, but isn't, like, going around being like, Aisha podcasts reality TV for Rob, like, and things like that. And I think that that's powerful and important. It's kind of giving Izzy and Sari to me in terms of, and Big Brother, in terms of, I respect who you are outside of this game enough to not blow up your spot. And so we're going to work closely together. And I think that, like, where Teeny is, Aisha follows, and etc. And I think that that has potential to be a really strong pair throughout the game. And I just think that, like, her ability to bounce back like that with other people as well is really telling. And even in a Rome and Aisha situation, like, if Rome plays that idol, he's not voting for her.
I disagree with that. I think he is.
You think he's voting for her?
Well, boo to you.
But they're going to split votes anyway, so I don't think it would matter.
As long as they split votes, I'm not worried for Aisha. But if they don't split votes, I'm worried for Aisha.
But regardless, I personally don't think she's going to go home this early. I don't see it.
Yeah, it'd be heartbreaking too. It would be because
it would be devastating. It would be Malcolm and Game Changers devastating.
Yeah, this is the most like org / reality podcasting exposure we've seen. You know, because like I think Andy's done orgs. I think Teeny's done orgs, and I think you know, Asia's obviously a RHAP co-host. So like it's really cool that like there's like stock on like each. Not each tribe, because Teeny and Asia are on the same tribe. But are you guys fans of Asia? Like, do you guys listen to RHAP at all? Like, do you know who Asia is?
RHAP. I'm a fan of Asia.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who? Did you guys know Andy and Teeny before this as well?
I knew of Teeny because of
Nick
Whitney, Survivor PA, because he also played that LRG with Haley Keener and Teeny.
That's so cool.
Andy, I didn't know, but then
He seems like an Orger, though.
But then the other day he popped up in my like people I may know on Facebook, and I recognized the last name outside of because I've just seen Andy on. So I haven't seen any of these people. I don't know any of these people's last names.
Right.
So when I saw his last name, I was like, that name sounds familiar. Like that last name does. So like I feel like I've seen the name on like an org somewhere.
Gotcha.
But I did not put two and two together.
Very cool.
I feel like to him, like I know in 44 they were talking about like Carolyn being an Orger and things like that. And like Chanel was an Orger and things like that in 42. I feel like to me, Andy is the most Orgy Orger.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. But also like you can tell that like Teeny is somebody who's played like orgs as well, in my opinion, by the way that she interacts with Aisha. I personally I listen to RHAP not as much as he has in his life. And I didn't super recognize Aisha, but now that I like see it, I'm like, I probably have listened to a podcast that she was on at some point.
And she's been doing podcasts since, which is so funny. Like I was listening to a Big Brother roundtable, and she was on it, and I was like, "That's just like funny." It's like you're just going back to your normal routine. It's great,
right? Like I'm sure that like there are like roundtables or drafts or things that RJP has done that I've seen her in, and I just didn't realize it was her.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hopefully someday that'll be us.
Literally, I know. Call us Rob, please.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Asia, Austin? I mean, I love her. I think she's great. I think she's destined to go far, even if Rome does try to pull one on her. I think she's got enough people in her corner backing her up. You know, she's running that tribe like the Navy. So, yeah, I love it. Ingrid, who's going to be your next pick?
Okay, my next pick is somebody that I am more worried about than I am Aisha, but I think that they're going to get me points for lots of reasons. And that person is Gabe.
Yeah. Okay.
Gabe was my winner pick going into the season.
Oh, interesting.
He's from Baltimore.
Cool.
We live in Baltimore.
I'm so proud of you for saying Baltimore, right?
What do people say Baltimore?
You don't say it the way it's spelled.
You don't say the T.
Yeah,
it's more of a D.
The T is more of a D, yeah.
Baltimore.
Sometimes I say it right. Sometimes I say it wrong. I don't really care.
Baltimore. I'm going to attack it.
I feel like it depends on what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. He's from Baltimore. Whatever you say.
Balmer.
But, you know, he's from the area. When we do our drafts, like between us, we usually do it in between like the what's called like Inside Survivor or whatever.
Yeah, when Inside Survivor released the cast.
And it's like a random photo of them from social media,
it's like their
their name and their age and their occupation and their location. So like we don't have like any of their strategy to go off of whatsoever. And just based on his stats as like a person, I was like, this guy has the formula to go far. Obviously, I think he's doing the most in a lot of ways, and that's worrisome. But I pulled up one of our friends who comes and watches Survivor with us, sends us in a group chat the confessional updates by like how many seconds of confessionals they've gotten, not necessarily the number. And right now, Gabe has the most confessional time of anybody on the season. I see that continuing. It's him and Sam at the top, and I think that that's going to continue. He found the idol. I have faith in him finding another one. I feel like he has these strong bonds as of right now. I think that one of his biggest threats was TK, and now TK is gone.
Yeah.
At least on that blue tribe in the immediate future. I definitely see a world where he gets cut at least. I don't think he's going pre-merge, but I definitely see him getting cut like early merge just because he can't manage his threat level. Like, I think that's a very real possibility. And that's why I was like, I don't know. But I do think that like he's going to be a constant presence as long as he's there. He's going to be finding things. He's going to be, making moves. He's going to be doing all of those things. And so I am confident enough to still take him despite his like Russell upside, if you will.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be a big focus of the season, regardless of how far he goes. And he clearly wants to make a statement. Like he wanted to be on the Mount Rushmore of the new era, like stuff like that. And I don't think they would just throw that in unless he has like an epic early downfall or he ends up actually being this
Like
really innovative player, which I think he could be. And preseason, I was actually down on him. I thought it was like, he doesn't want to make friends.
A lot of people were.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we're seeing what he meant now, but I think he is actually making friends because clearly his bond with Sue and Caroline was bigger than his putting the tribe first. So I do think he is actually playing a lot more emotionally than he would like to say. But I do like him a lot in terms of like I've been surprised by him. Of all the people who are like the disaster on their tribes between him, Rome, and Andy, I like him the most of the three. So
agreed completely.
So yeah, I definitely hope he goes far.
I think he has the most ability to bounce back from being the disaster person on the tribe too.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with his idol play. Like I thought it was smart. I think going to rocks is scary, and you don't necessarily know where Tiana's at. So you know what, play your idol. That way, if they draw rocks, you and Sue are both safe, and then all you have to worry about is Caroline because the hope is that Tiana or Kyle goes home.
Like I understand the like damage control, but also like how are they going to blame you for wanting to keep yourself safe in a potential rock situation? Like
And Tiana still has no idea how close Gabe is with Caroline and Sue now because Tiana's probably thinking, yeah, girls, we did it. And no, it's not that. It's Gabe and the other two. It's kind of like the Russell, Parvati, Danielle thing where they're like, Russell's on the bottom of the tribe of women. We got to give him the idol and save him. And JT's...
And it's actually Parvati and Russell, yeah.
It's really Parvati and Russell. It's not Russell on the bottom, yeah. So, Austin, any thoughts on Gabe?
Nothing that hasn't already been said. Like, I think... Yeah, I think especially what you're saying, it's either he's going to have like this really big early downfall or he's going to be here for a while. Right. There was something else that I had thought of when, I mean, I think the only worry for Gabe is if he doesn't go back out and find another idol.
Yeah.
Does Caroline flip to work with Tiana and Kyle?
Definitely possible.
Like, I think that's the only like. Throwing back to what Zach was saying about it being a bad thing for Gabe to have already blown the idol, does Caroline still stick with Sue and Gabe? And that, I think, will really determine how Gabe does here.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Sue is the pivotal part in that. Is Sue
if Sue can hold Caroline
and like kind of a la Trish and Tony.
Yeah. Well, because
like Trish is the one keeping everybody in the alliance while Tony acts a fool.
Yeah. Because like what Zach was saying was Tiana is kind of like the focal point center of this tribe. I think now it's Caroline. Like in the future, it'll be Caroline. Because if Caroline wants to flip to Kyle, I think she can get Tiana to flip to Kyle with her.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, Austin, you said Caroline's like the potential flip-flopper. That's why I have her next on my list. I like Caroline a lot. Preseason, so she's my draft pick. Preseason I was not high on Caroline. I was like, she's gonna just stick out like a sore thumb. She looks like the weakest on her tribe. She feels like she's trying to hide her smarts, but it's gonna be very obvious how smart she is. But she gets on the tribe and she's just kind of like this little sister who's or this daughter figure to Sue, little sister to Gabe. Really just seems to be integrating herself really well with the tribe. And I do think now she kind of has that power where she could make a move if she wants to. But Gabe has shown his loyalty to her by showing her the idol and then playing the idol to say like, this is real. Like you can believe me. So I think she has all the avenues to work with. I don't see a world unless it's a catastrophic tribal performance and her and Sue are just that bad at the challenge that they would flip on the two of them. And between the two of them, I think Sue's just going to catch a few more votes than Caroline is. So I was like, you know what? I'll take Caroline because I think she just has the potential to cruise. I was worried she'd be like an Emily Flippin where she would start off on the wrong foot and then improve. But I think she started out on the right foot. I think she's been great. I was down on her preseason, but I think now she's like becoming one of my favorites. I just think she's chill, cool. I would probably connect with her on the island. I like her in the spot. I think a lot of the heavy hitters have gone off the board. So I think this is a solid second round pick for me. Like I think she's probably the safest on that tribe, to be honest. So I'm happy with that.
There's moments where I like her and there's moments where I'm like annoyed with her.
Right.
Like I don't know. I felt like it and it was funny to like see her. Well, she was talking about her like career and her job and being like strategic analysts, and like part of what seemed not great to me for her was like Gabe's coming to her, being genuine with this, and she's like, "Oh, I can tell Gabe is full of crap," and I'm like, "No, he's not. Like, this is not a good look for you."
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I do think though the whole like the guys are working together, it's a bromance, and then it actually paying off where they do separate the guys, I think was pretty good for her edit though, because like I think if they were to get out Sue here, I think she would have looked a lot worse because it would have been like, no, she was trying to split up the boys and the boys are still together. But I think the fact that she said it in episode 1, because after episode 1, I was like, I'm worried for her. I'm worried the guys are going to take her out. But the second episode, it proved to be that the guys got split up. So I think it's looking fine for her story. The only thing is I haven't gotten a lot of her story. It always seems to be about Gabe or about the boys or about Sue, to where she's very much a supporting character. I don't think she's going to win the season, but I do think I think she'll be around for a little longer. So, yeah. Ingrid, any thoughts on Caroline?
I feel like Caroline to me is such a non-factor, and part of it could be that I'm missing half the content. Right. But like to me, she just like is there and is an alliance member, and like that's kind of it. And so it'll be interesting to see like down the line where that goes. But not in personality whatsoever, but it kind of reminds me of like using the Kagiyan analogy with this tribe, like the Jeffra of it all. Just like a soldier in the fight who is trying to figure out where her place is, and mom tells her she's safe here, and then she gets sniped. Like that's like that's what I see. But obviously, like it's so early. Like there's still lots of potential for her to go far and do better. I mean, you look at characters like Emily or Liz that this early on we were like, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
Like, and they ended up having, bigger arcs, or at least, coming more full circle by the end of it. So I think it all depends.
Sweet.
I'm not sure.
yeah. I think after like the first few people, I'm like, a lot of these people kind of fall in that middle ground where I don't see any winner edit yet for them, but I'm also like, but I feel like they're gonna play a big part in some way. But I thought that about TK, and here's my winner pick, and he's gone. So, Austin, you're up next on the clock. Who would you like?
All right. So going into this, my first pick was torn between 3 people: Sam, Aisha, and one other person who is still there. But now that I'm here, I'm torn between that person and one other person, as I've been saying here and thinking. And I will say both, because next 2 picks are Zach, which have already been predetermined. So it's not like I can say who I want.
And I will not tell you anything. So
it's not like I'm going to say these and then Zach's just going to, out of spite, take the one I don't pick because he knows I want it. He's already decided what he's taking. So I'm between Tiana and Keyshawn. And I honestly think Zach probably has both these people probably higher anyway. So like I genuinely think no matter what I do here, Zach's taking the other one. I am going to take.
It's like the do or die twist.
Because like
choose your champion, Austin.
So I think in general, like this is more speaking to Zach's list. I think based on like episodes and the way things are like have been shaken out, and especially just Zach's words, I think there's a higher chance that Tiana is higher on his list than Keyshawn is.
I agree with that.
But I also just don't think Keyshawn's in any danger, and I know that's kind of like what the power rankings are too.
Yes, so his ranking is both who he wants to draft, but also our power ranking. I'll just tell you, I don't want to tell you too much, but there's someone in 16th place on his ranking that has an idol worth 1 tribal. So I don't know. So I think he's just trying to weigh the both of them together, where it's like I want to be realistic, but so I think just go with your gut.
But so the other half of that I was going to say was with Teeny being Zach's first pick, I think like the odds of Zach wanting Teeny's like number one person here and Keyshawn is also a high probability. That's where I'm like, I think
This
that's
feels
why
like
I
a game
think
of
both these
Survivor
people,
in itself.
That's why I think both of these people are high on Zach's list, and I'm probably not getting both, no matter which one I pick. I will take the one that I think might have the slightly better shot of. I'll take Tiana.
Okay.
I think Keyshawn probably has the better shot of going the distance and maybe winning this thing. But I think Tiana has more individual immunities if she can get to the merge. Like, I think she's definitely someone who could get to the merge and be like a really big threat in some challenges and get me some points there. I think if she continues to be a like strategic presence, people like wanting to try to like work with her, get her to work with them, like I think she could get some confessionals. I do worry, I hope that her tribe can continue to win, because I do worry that if they do lose two more, like she does go, if that trio of Gabe, Caroline, and Sue does stick together, like I do worry for that. The other part of my picking of her is there's a stat that I saw somewhere that was like, for the past few seasons, the winner of the season has been someone who had like was shown in the preview of the season and got confessionals in like that opening montage scene, and she's one of like 5 people I think that applies to both,
and one of those people is John,
and one of those other people is John, who's gone.
Well, John, they were gonna milk no matter what. Like John, if he was first boot or winner, he would have gotten that, you know.
But and then another one of those people I think is Aisha, who's already gone.
Who's already been picked? Got it.
Yeah, already been already been.
Did I miss an episode?
There is one more person still undrafted that applies to, but I'll keep that information to myself for now in case I decide to pick them for that reason.
Okay. Yeah, I am a little worried for Tiana only because now I think long term, like that's a great pick, because if she can make it to the merge or make it there, I think she's good. She's someone who I think could very well, jump from group to group. We've already seen it in one episode that she's been able to jump ship. But my worry is that trio is so close. Are they going to want to get out Kyle or Tiana, basically? Because I don't see them turning on one of their own. Like, I think that's the only worry, is that like if they like Kyle enough, they could keep Kyle over her, and that's the really only worry I have for her. And that's why I have her lower in my power ranking, is because like I think if Blue were to go to tribal, which I don't think they will, I think this was like a weird one-time loss thing.
Yeah,
I think they are still a strong tribe. I could see Gabe being like, well, she was willing to flip on TK, she'll flip on us too, and like getting her out. And I could see the 3 of them going for her over Kyle, because they are like, Kyle's nice, he's easy to manipulate, he's harmless. Whereas TK was very talkative, he was a strong presence. Kyle's very soft, kind of lovable, quiet. I think honestly, long term, you want to kind of try to get Kyle back on your side than you would like Tiana, who is very clearly willing to flip if she needs to. So I think Tiana has is worrisome in the short term, but in the long term, I think if she can make it, she's golden to go pretty far. She was my fire making loser prediction preseason. She was my 4th place pick. So yeah, I thought she was going to go far. Zach had her in like his final 3. So we're both high on her. I like her a lot. It's just I'm a little worried. We'll see. If she can get past this like next wave, if they go to tribal again, she could survive. I think she's in a good spot. If she goes home next, I would also not be surprised, because she flipped, but she's still the 4th in that quartet. So Ingrid, what are your thoughts on Tiana?
Yeah, I like what you said about like fire making loser. Like, I feel like she has a lot of like Katora vibes, both in like her personality and her approach to the game, but also just like a strong Black woman on a tribe that is kind of trying to find her place. Annoyed with the showboating and all of that.
On a blue tribe.
Annoyed with the showboating of it all, and trying to find the right moment to strike. Maybe takes too long in certain parts of the game. Obviously not with TK, but like in general. But like has a longevity of like winning challenges and things like that. But potentially loses fire. I think it's definitely a storyline I could see for her. She was one of my, she was in the short list of people I want to pick next. So like, it was a good pick for that. I also think you're right that Zach probably has her higher than Keyshawn. But I also, don't know.
See, last year we knew Zach's list.
Did he send it to all of us?
Yeah, last year he sent it to the group chat.
I mean, I could, and we're halfway through. I could just send a list, but
okay, it's okay.
All right.
I
really don't think you should worry about Zach.
I see him valuing Tiana as a player pretty highly, just from what I know of him. But I mean, I think it's a good pick. I think she'll be here for a while unless something happens and they lose again and they decide to take her out.
Yeah. Well, we are at Zach's list, and I'll rattle off the top since we've talked about all these people. He has Teeny at 1, obviously. He had Asia at 2, so that was smart on you, Ingrid, to take her. And then he had the Sam and Sierra duo at 3 and 4, but no one's taken his number 5 yet, and his number 5 is baby Andy. It's Andy.
Okay,
and I think have him.
I think the thing with Andy, and I don't know if I'm speaking on Zach's behalf or not, but I think Andy, for power rankings, it makes sense to have him higher up. I have him around like the 9 spot because like right now Sam wants to use the idol on him, but that could always change. So like, who's to say? But I do think there's one thing that I just keep coming back to. He got a Matt chat, and like I know the Matt chat theory was kind of like debunked with D, and then again with last season not having any. But I'm like, there's just something about it where I'm like, I don't know. I mean, they went to Gabe, they went to John, then they went to who else did they go to? They went Gabe, John, Andy, and was that it? Just
Teeny.
Those 3? Teeny. Well, yeah, there you go. So like Teeny is probably my winner pick because of that as well. Right now, but I don't know, something about Andy getting a match at. Obviously, he's going to be a big character based on what happens in episode 1, so maybe it's just that. But I don't know. I was a little worried, but Zach has him high. I think he's kind of lumping him with Sam and Sierra, being like that's going to be the 3 that gets out of yellow over the other 2 who he has a little lower. So Andy is.
I don't think Andy is the next to go on yellow. So like,
I think he's going to be, if anything, probably a final tribal loser at like that's his ceiling. I don't think he wins a game, but I could see him sitting in final tribal.
This man is not winning the game. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, if he wins the game though, that would be
what
a bounce back.
I would be
justice for John Lovett if Andy wins this game.
I would be grumpy. If he wins the game.
Yeah. So Andy's Zach's pick. I think it's smart because he also could win an individual immunity if we get to the murder.
Andy's gonna get a lot of screen time for as long as he's there, which is also smart. Like I can't stand Andy on this season, which drives me crazy.
But you didn't really see much of him last episode. I think you would change your mind if you watched last episode again.
At the same time, I understand that like he is a main character in this story as long as he's there, and so like.
Yeah, I mean, he's been getting the Banu. He's been getting the Banu comparison.
Professional time. He'll probably get an episode title or 2 randomly. Like he is strong enough to win challenge. Like there is a lot of upside, but there's still that piece in the back of my mind that's like, what is he talking about ever? And like the fact that they need to babysit him and like that whole conversation. Like, is that somebody you really want to work with for the long haul? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like, is he more of an Emily or is he more of a Banu? Like,
well,
I don't know yet.
Well, I also think the babysitting would cease at a certain point if, like, the reason they feel like that's babysitting is because they're like, oh, we want him out right now, and we don't want him to go find the thing. And like now, that they all know that they found a thing, they're like, Andy can go run and do whatever he wants. You don't need it. Like the whole point of the babysitting was Andy can't go find this idol right now.
And he found the thing, but it didn't even matter because he put it right back. Which I thought you could just like pocket the beware advantage and wait to open it till later, but apparently you have to leave it where it is.
Yeah, it says leave it.
And I don't think he made a terrible decision in doing that. It just backfired on him a lot faster than I expected. Like I was actually impressed that he had that like idea. Like, it's not a bad idea. It's just not like it's risky. And he, he took a risk and it didn't pay off.
Yeah. I'm more of a fan of Andy than I think a lot of the community is, but I do see why he's frustrated. He was frustrating me after episode 1. And I love John so much. I was pissed. But episode 2, I'm kind of like, you know what? I just think it was a really rough first few days, but I really think he'll be okay if he can survive a vote in a majority. I think that's all it takes is like just a few votes under your belt to realize you're not on the bottom. But yeah, I think he could be the next boot. He could be in the final 3. Like I really think it's a weird ceiling.
Super high variance, yeah.
Yeah, very high variance. But Zach picked him 5th, and his 6th was Caroline. And going along with Caroline, his number 7, Austin, is not Keyshawn. It is Sue. Sue is going to be Zach's next pick. So all that agonizing was for nothing, Austin, because his next picks were Andy and Sue. And I'll tell you right now, his 8 and 9 are also not Keyshawn. Keyshawn is his 10. So you'll probably be okay. But I do think, Sue is in a good spot. I am worried she'll catch some votes, which is why I didn't want to draft her. But I do think, like, in terms of power rankings, she clearly has people.
Sorry, did he have Tiana up in there anywhere?
Yes.
Okay. Tiana's is number 12.
I thought he had Tiana up there. Maybe
no, I think it's because she is right above one other blue member. I think he's looking at, like, if they go to tribal next, it's her or that person. So, he has Tiana at 12. But yeah, he has Sue at 7. I think Sue's in a good spot. I think she is always going to be like this contingency plan, which has me worried. But clearly she has people backing her up. So, and she's going to be a confessional machine, I'm sure. So I love Sue. I think she's great. She's bringing it. I think after what had just happened on Big Brother, I need another older woman to root for, because my heart's broken and shattered in 2. This was going to be a Big Brother recap if Zach was here, but he had to run. So we'll recap it next time. But I'm just so sad about that. So Sue is going to be hopefully my way of rooting for this next
chaos
coming
only.
of Angela. Yeah, chaos only, please. Even though she's a lot more even keel than I expected, but she was getting into it a little bit with TK. Your bromance, it's like, all right.
She really was. That was crazy.
This is like Angela and Matt 2.0.
Yeah, I do like Sue. I do enjoy Sue on the season.
Mm-hmm. Would you?
That's my thoughts on Sue. I like her.
She has Angela upside, which I appreciate.
Yeah, she's Carolyn upside too. Like I could see her making.
She absolutely has Carolyn upside as well.
The problem is I don't think people are going to give her the
either of those 2 people we just mentioned.
Right. Yeah.
But like, can you move your leg?
Yeah, I've been wanting you to move your leg.
Well, I can't. The way you had me sitting. Okay. Like she's not as kooky as those other 2 ladies that we just mentioned, but like she definitely has the upside of like the screen time that those 2 ladies were getting, the stronger relationships, like, and like people, despite not, loving them, like still wanting to keep them, like all of that. She has all of that upside. I don't think she's winning the game, but I could see her at the end, or I could see her in like a Mama J situation where like they get that far and they realize she's too threatening and take her out right before the finale. But I do think she has like, I think she's more of a Carolyn than like a Lindsay in terms of like mom archetype and what's going to happen to them.
That's fair. Cool. Austin, are you going to take Keyshawn next or are you going to pivot again?
I believe I am. I probably am. I just know that the other person that it's going to be such. When we get, I am going to take. I'm taking Keyshawn. You can write it down. But the person that I'm passing on in favor of Keyshawn is someone that when whoever drafts this person drafts them, I'll talk about it then. But I think it's going to be like my like sleeper. I don't think the person can win, but I think it's just someone that I really, really like and enjoy on the season. That I think you guys are going to be like, really? But yeah, I'll take.
I hope it's the same person I'm thinking, but I don't know.
I'll take Keyshawn. I think. I think there's potentially an edit there for Keyshawn to have a deep run, potentially a win in the game. I read a lot of like Edgic stuff, on like Reddit and stuff, and I think after episode 2, the Edgic person who writes it on Reddit has his top 2 potential winner picks based on Edgic right now being Teeny and Keyshawn. So maybe that's where my pick came in. I do like Keyshawn too. Like I think Keyshawn seems to be someone that everyone wants to include, and wants to be involved with. And if Teeny does have like the stranglehold on the tribe that they do, then I think Keyshawn will be fine, and I think people are going to see TD more as like the out there threat to potentially target than Keyshawn. Like I think TD would be the person people try to take the shot at instead of going for like Teeny's right hand.
Right.
See, I feel kind of the opposite, where like I do see longevity for Keyshawn, but I kind of see it as people wanting to take Keyshawn out to take a shot at Teeny without being direct. Like I think that that's a real possibility, like down the line in like a merge situation. I don't see Keyshawn or Teeny going anywhere before the merge. Like something crazy would have to happen for that to be the case. But I definitely could see Keyshawn like getting ousted as a way for people to get at Teeny. Like I think that's a real possibility. And like of the preseason content that I did watch, I saw several people talking about how like Keyshawn is really likable, he's really nice, like all that kind of stuff, but like he might be too nice in terms of like his willingness and ability to like make aggressive moves. Like I think in order for somebody like Keyshawn to win, he would have to get rid of Teeny, and I don't think he's going to be able to have the heart to do that. So I think that that's something to think about also. But like he's still a solid pick in terms of longevity and things like that.
Yeah. I don't have much of an opinion on Keyshawn right now. I think he's getting probably, I mean, that whole tribe, I feel like there's 3 stars of that tribe that are getting a lot of the visibility. It's Asia, Teeny, and Rome. I think the other 3 are getting much less visibility than they should be. So it's really hard to gauge. Are they just going to keep winning and they're going to just be like merged jurors? Are they going to be end game players? I really just don't know yet with that tribe, which makes it so difficult. I like Keyshawn. I think he's good. I like him. So, yeah. So I'm up next, and I have someone from yellow, I have someone from blue, so I'm going to take someone from red. Again, red is very under-edited in general, and Teeny, Asia, and Keyshawn are already off the board. So I'm going to take someone that, like, I'm risking it for the biscuit here, because this person could be not going to be the next boot. I'll tell you right now. Not going to be the next boot, but I worry that they could be the very next boot after that. But I just see a world where this person is on our screen for the whole season, and that's Rome. I'm taking Rome. I know it's risky, but he's definitely playing an idol in the next round. He'd be stupid not to play it for himself, and I do think even if he doesn't have the numbers, I just have a gut feeling Rome is meant to be a main character on the season in a similar way that, like, we talked about Sue. Like, she's not going to win the game maybe, or Andy, like, but they're going to be around for a while. They just have that, like, main character energy, and he is right now the main character on red, even though Teeny and Asia are running the tribe and in the best positions. He's the one getting the most visibility and focus. And who's to say he won't make some big moves? I mean, he and Gabe both kind of hyped up like they're going to make some big ass moves this season. So I hope there's at least a few idle plays down the line. I hope he's kind of like this like really scrappy underdog, because I do like him, even though he's annoying a lot of people. Like I do oddly still like him because he does have like this kind of, I don't know, this magnetic energy. I can see why it drives people crazy on the island, but I also think about who got the most fantasy points for you 2 years ago, Austin. Do you remember who it was?
2 years ago?
On 45.
Was it Bruce?
It was Bruce.
Yeah.
And you know who's the Bruce of this season? It's Rome. Everyone can't stand him. He's annoying everyone. But here's the thing. If they keep winning and he has that idol to use the first time he can use it, he might not be eligible to vote out until the merge. And even then, like, who's to say he won't link up with someone on another tribe, like a Gabe, who's also playing a chaotic game, like Andy, who's also on the outs. Like, I think Rome is someone who we have to keep an eye out for. I don't think he's going to win. But I do think he's going to be a main character this season. I don't see him being pre-merge as much as people are predicting it. So Zach has him all the way at 16. I hinted at that earlier. I think for power rankings, I don't think that's a smart move because he's probably going to play the idol. But I think for drafting, he just didn't want Rome on his draft, so he put it all the way at 16. So I respect that. But I have Rome all the way at 3 in my power rankings. I have him right behind Sam and Sierra, and then I have Rome at 3 because I really do think he is the safest person on red, as crazy as it is, because he has an idol. So. And it's only worth one travel. I like Rome. I don't know. Was that your sad face, Awesome? Were you going to pick Rome? Okay, good.
I think all of this is great. We have to rely on Rome to be smart enough to play that idol on himself.
Right.
And I think of everybody in this game that has earned an idol, he is the least likely person to be smart enough to play it the right way. And look, like he totally could, and everything you're saying could be amazing and absolutely true. Or they could go to tribal next episode. He could play it on fucking Aisha for no reason, even though he's targeting her, and go home up in flames. Like
votes for Rome's master plan. He votes for Asia, plays the idol on Asia, and someone else goes home because of it. Like that'd be wild. That's like Wild Survivor 3.0.
Like there's a little bit of the Zayn Knight of it all for me.
Who I love and stan. So
I love him too. But like I think that's where the high variance comes in as well. Is like he definitely has like that upside of like main character energy, but he also has the downside of like, is he smart enough to actually keep himself in the game? Because like John had main character energy and he went home first. So like,
you're right about that. Yeah. Now I'm not regretting it, but I'm also like, I mean, it's a third pick, so you know,
right.
I'm feeling okay.
It's pretty good for a third pick.
I mean, I know I'm getting an idol play nonetheless. It's just and he found an idol or just something. But I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I feel like we can only have so many people who are getting a lot of confessional and airtime that make it far, and I think Rome is one of those potentials. Like we're giving you as much airtime of Rome as we can while we have him, because he's entertaining and we want to let that be shown, but we need to give it to you now because he's going to go soon.
Yeah, true. I feel like also there's this new era though. Like I feel like the people who get all the confessionals end up making it far. It's like, you know, Hunter and Venus and Charlie, you know, like Q. But I do think, you're right. Like because I think of like Sifu, and I'm like, Sifu went out so early that like you would have thought they would have milked Sifu for all he was worth, but they really didn't. He was kind of invisible. But again, Rome is so charismatic and good and like eye catching that it's like
inside of a water well. You have
right. Like I feel like you need to highlight him regardless of how long he's on the season. Like John, like that was a perfect example. Like John had main character energy as well. So yeah, it's high variance. All these picks at this point are. But Ingrid, you get your last two right now. That's the benefit of going fourth in a 4-person draft. Ingrid, is you get to go back to back and seal.
I already feel like I know who I'm going to end up having to pick between.
I know who my first pick is for sure. So I'll say that person first because the second pick is where I'm like, I don't know. I'm picking who I consider, because of the high variance thing, to be a bit of a sleeper pick, but I also think that they could go far. I'm going to pick Rachel.
Cool.
I think that Rachel is not next. I think she could be second to next, potentially. I think that tribe at 4 is where things get really interesting. Like straight up, I think Annika's next. They showed some absolute tomfoolery in the preview for this week of her acting insane. So we'll see where that goes and things like that. But like, I think Rachel had a really good episode 1. You know, they went out of their way to show that like she is not interested in Andy the way that Andy is interested in her. They talked about how, or you know, they gave her time to talk about how she didn't want to be seen going off with him, things like that. We got the really fun like rice pocket thing that I don't think they would have shown if she wasn't sticking around a little bit longer. I don't know though, because it's like just such a like throwaway moment to me, especially because they didn't let her keep it.
It was awesome though. It was pretty fun.
It was great. It was amazing. I agree with the fandom that Jeff should have let her keep it.
It wasn't just the fandom. Like I was on Twitter and it was like former players.
A lot of former players are like, "Why didn't you let her keep it?"
Yeah, because it's innovative. He loves Game Changers.
Yeah.
Like
give her a spot on Game Changers 2.0.
Period. And it wasn't even that much rice. Like it's rice in her pockets. Like be so serious. But like that was really fun, and like that kind of shows me that like she is thinking, you know, of new perspectives and different things to do. I also see like, I think her relationship with Sierra is going to help her out a lot. The biggest concern for me is if that tribe gets to 4 and has to go to tribal, which is a very real possibility. They're yellow. So, you know, but I also see a world where, you know, I've had a lot of time to think, you know, since my last pick. And I was thinking in my head, like, is Rachel somebody who could go far? And my thought process is they get down to that 4, and it's Sierra wanting to keep Rachel and Sam wanting to keep Andy. And I think there's a world where where Sierra says to Sam, okay, if it ties, like, are you willing to go to Rocks for Andy? Or go to Fire Making because it's 2, I don't know, for Andy. And Sam being like, maybe it's not that worth it, and, you know, flipping to keep Rachel. So I think that that's kind of where I'm seeing it going. And that's kind of why I feel like it's a good shot. I also think she can hide behind Sierra and Sam in a merge situation. Like if an opposing alliance sees them as like a big 3, I can see somebody like Sierra getting taken out over her. Assuming Sam probably has immunity. LOL. So that's kind of my thought process there.
She's also really good at puzzles, so individual
it's
immunity is very possible.
Of the 5 people that are left, Rachel is the most likely to make a deeper run, I think, or be a winner.
She was my second place preseason. Yeah. Like I was high on Rachel. I love Rachel. Yeah. Austin, any other thoughts on
yeah,
Rachel?
go ahead, because I'm thinking.
No. Yeah, no, I like her a lot. I think
I like her and everything Ingrid said. I think
the only danger is the Andy night 1 thing, because not only was she seen with Andy and she doesn't want that target, but she also kind of dissed Andy to where Andy could be upset with her.
Yeah.
And honestly, if Sam is using, the only worry I have is if Sam is using that idol for Andy and gives him any say, Andy might be like, well, Rachel really turned her back on me day 1. And if Sam's like, turned her back, oh, were you tight? You were tight with Rachel? Okay, bye. Like, Rachel's got to go. And that's my only worry for her.
There's a world where, like, he wanted to target Annika at that first tribal.
True.
So
John wanted to target Annika.
Right,
but they both did, though.
They both did, but then
how much of that was John influenced?
I thought that Andy brought up to John Annika, and then John ran with it, and that's why he went home.
Yeah, well, but John had also said in a confessional, he was like, Annika was someone I was already looking at wanting to get rid of.
Yeah. So I honestly think both of them are.
I think there's 2. I still think there is 2 options for him there.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like, I think, and I'll just say right now, I think Yellow is the safest of the 3 tribes, as crazy as it is. They lost the first challenge, but I do think, you know, give them any puzzle. Like, their puzzle skills are the best of anyone. We saw it with the first challenge. We saw it with this recent challenge with Rachel doing that slide puzzle immediately, quick. The strength is what they don't have, but a lot of these challenges aren't strength. It's like this challenge, I believe, is the one where they're jumping into the water off the high platform. Like, if they can swim, and we know Andy can, like, you know, I think Yellow could be okay. I think Red and Blue are the more in danger tribes.
Because Rachel's so good at puzzles, there's a world where, like, if she does make the merge, she can win immunity challenges individually, just by the puzzle at the end.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Absolutely.
I think
you got your next pick.
I think so.
Okay. You've got one of each too. You've got a red, a blue, and a yellow. That's very cool.
Okay.
Actually, so does Austin. You have a red, a yellow, and a blue. Zach's the only one who. And Zach too has a red, yellow, and a blue. We all have red, yellow, and blue. That's crazy. I'm just like looking through each one. I'm like, wow.
Well, I mean, looking at who's left, there's 2 reds left, 1 blue, 1 yellow. So
that makes sense. I should have just done it that way.
I'm going to take the person I like the most.
I hate you.
I'm taking Kyle.
Nice.
Because I think just as much as Tiana has that variance, I think Kyle has the same variance. And I think that Kyle is incredibly likable. I mean, Austin and I were sitting there with little frowns on our faces over him going, no, when TK went home, and just
it was so
like
heartbreaking for him.
A little puppy dog, like, where am I going to go next? But I also think that, like, he has the ability to bounce back from that. Like, I think he has the ability to now go to tribe mates and be like, I'm alone, my friend is gone, I can help you, and, like, then be like, how about that? Like, I think it's a lot less than Tiana, which is why he's fallen this low. But we also were talking about how there's a huge possibility that, like, Blue doesn't go back to tribal. And I think if Blue doesn't go back to tribal, like, I think he's in a good spot come merge, because he I think he could be kind of a free agent. And could kind of go where he needs to go and people will like him. And so I think of the people that are left from what we've seen, because obviously, with our Red members left, we've seen almost nothing of them. So we don't actually really know. But like, in terms of who we've seen, I think that he has the most social capital. Like I could see him, kind of chipping away at Gabe. Like we were talking about how like Gabe is playing more emotionally than he would want to be. Like I could see him kind of chip away at Gabe potentially, or chip away at Caroline potentially, and Tiana, and like flip on Sue and Gabe, like you were talking about, things like that. Like I think he has potential if he has enough time. Like if they don't go to tribal next episode, if he has enough time to build those relationships, I think that he has potential to save himself, more so than some of these other people. And also he has gotten airtime in both episodes, which is not possible about everybody else. So if we're going to think about getting rid of points for not getting confessionals, Kyle's not there. So I think that's a little bit safer than some of the other people left on the board.
Yeah. I like Kyle. I would have taken him. So you're smart to take him. But I do think, like I could see a redemption arc for him. He's on the bottom now, but I do think he's strong enough and social enough. I mean, he was smart in getting Tiana and TK to like hash things out. I think that was a very good move for him. It's just that Gabe had another trick up his sleeve. But I really do think if Tiana wasn't strong armed into, not going to rocks, I do think there's a way where just Kyle being the mediator helps a lot. I think Kyle's really great. Like I love Kyle. I just don't know if he's going to win the game, but I do think he could make it far. I could see him sitting in final tribal and maybe getting a few votes, but not winning. But like, I think he has a good upside. I really like Kyle. I hope he's around for a while.
He has a lot of upside. Like all of the content we've gotten from other people about Kyle is that they like him and that he's nice and like he's this like Southern boy and has that charm. But like, I do worry of like, is the tie to TK like. Like if they lose again, does he have a shot to even have get someone like not to vote him out? Like
we haven't talked about this yet, but like there is always a possibility we have discovered of a swap now in the new era.
True.
And I do think in a swap situation, he's
Kyle
actually in a really good spot.
Yeah. Like I think
especially away from other blue members.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think that he is in a really good spot to like latch onto another alliance and run with it. I think if he were to end up on a tribe with like Sam, they would get along really well. Or like end up on a tribe, even with somebody like
Saul.
Andy, like him and Andy could connect, or him and Saul could connect. Like I think that he has the best ability to like bounce back. And I also think that like we saw the clip of him like being like, no, for a reason. And I like it kind of reminds me of like Adam in Millennials versus Gen X, where like his first tribal, he's brutally blindsided. And we see him get upset about it, be like, oh my God, I was blindsided. But now I'm going to have to figure out a way to bounce back. And then he wins the game.
He also did get a package at the beginning of the episode. I don't know if this is what Austin was alluding to, where like he has this like whole backstory package very early on. And it's like, why would they throw that in there if, he doesn't.
And then he didn't go, and he hasn't gone home yet. So like
far. But like the very first like 5 minutes of the season, it's like you get him, you get Asia. I forget who else you got a clip of. I don't even think they did a clip of John or anything, but
Dylan,
who else? Yeah.
Before you make your next pick, could I Venmo you $5 to prevent you from picking someone?
You're crazy.
No, well, here's the thing. I don't know who you want or who you don't want. I already wrote down. I wrote down who I want.
Out of these three.
I'm gonna take the Ingrid route of picking the person I want to root for of the three.
Damn it.
Because I do think there's one of the three. So the three we have left are from Red we have Genevieve, Saul, and then from Yellow we have Annika. I think of those three, I would say the next boot on Red is probably Genevieve. The next boot on Yellow is probably Annika. I think Saul is the safest, but I just think because we haven't gotten a lot of him, I like Saul a lot. I predicted him to be final 3 preseason. I like him, but I don't want to root for him as much as I want to root for Annika. So I'm gonna put Annika next. I'm sorry.
Let's go!
Oh, you're excited about that. Okay. Cool.
I want Saul so bad.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like Saul a lot. I do, but I just think in terms of like who I want to root for, I think Annika is like I don't know. I'm always like drawn to like kind of the younger, feistier. Like I grew up loving Parvati, so like last year I was big on Venus. I'm big on Annika this year. Like she's feisty, and the thing is, like I have her lowest ranked of the Yellow members. Like for Yellow, I put Rachel at 13, Annika at 14 in my power ranking, just because I think they're the safest tribe because they're the best at puzzles. But I also think Annika's, according to preview and what we've learned so far, she's on the bottom. I mean, Andy's on the bottom, but she's like really on the bottom. But for some reason, them putting that in the trailer makes me think either they're not going to go to tribal and they're just setting up a feud, or it's a red herring and they go for Rachel instead of Annika, or they go for Andy after all, or they flip it on Sam somehow. Sam plays the idol on Andy and then goes home. That'd be nuts. But like, I just think Annika, Annika could be okay. I think Annika, if she can, again, like she, like Kyle, like who else? Like Tiana, if they get to the merge, they could work with other people. I think they could be really good. I think right now on their tribes, they're not as well positioned. Rome as well. Like I think they're players that like a swap or merge really benefits them. And we've seen with Jeff saying there's power shifts. I think there could definitely be power shifts. And I think Annika, I don't know, she's brought a real great fire to the season so far. She also did get some great like just personal confessionals. I've seen her all over the previews as well. So yeah, I think she's, again, I keep saying this, but she's got like a main character energy about her too. Like I just everything, just following Sam and like knowing that idol, she forced his hand to do everything he did. He didn't want to do it, but because Annika was there, and then Annika tells Rachel, I don't know. I think Annika's gonna be sneaky. I don't think she's gonna win, but like I am excited to see what Annika brings this season. Whereas like Saul, I love Saul, but he's very quiet right now. I still don't know how far he's gonna go. And then Genevieve, I am out on Genevieve. But no, I like Annika a lot. So I'm glad you got your pick though, Austin.
Thank you. You just made my day.
And Zach had Saul all the way at
Annika
8.
Real quick, I will be taking Saul, but on Annika really quick before we get there. It's interesting to me how like to hear you like spin things that I see so negatively as like a positive, because like. I see the whole Annika is there when Sam gets the advantage thing, and I see immediately after Sam being like, oh, I hate that Annika knows. Like, I see all this, like, negative connotations around Annika being there, and I see it as, like, not a great sign for Annika. But
she
like,
does know.
I see your idea of like
for the edit it's not great.
Being there, X, Y, and Z happen.
Yeah, for the edit it's not great, but for her just like knowing that information is huge because she wouldn't have found out otherwise. I think is the thing if she wasn't
I agree with
on
that,
Sam's tail.
So I don't know. I'm like I mean I mostly wouldn't pick Annika just because I really do think that she is probably the most likely boot of Yellow.
Yeah, that's the only danger. Yeah, but I picked Randon last year, so it can't get worse.
True.
Watch, Sierra's gonna get medevaced, and I'm just gonna be like a puddle of tears. You should have just Venmoed me the 5. I should have.
Yeah, you would have gotten $5.
I thought you wanted Annika. You know what? I thought you wanted Annika because you said something about like someone was in the preview, but also in that first opening montage.
Oh,
and I know she
person,
was.
That other person was Sue.
Oh, I thought it was Annika.
Sue was the other person who was both featured in the preview and got a confessional at the start of the episode in the opening montage.
Okay, gotcha. Because I know Annika got a little confessional in the opening montage as well, like the whole like dating app thing. So I was curious if that was the one you were gonna pick. Just because I know Saul has gotten barely any confessionals, so I didn't think you were gonna go there. But
in his 12 seconds of confessional time.
No, but tell us about Saul though. Like you're gonna pick Saul, and that means Zach is getting Genevieve. Yes. Let's talk about them both though. Austin, what are your thoughts on Saul?
There is something about this man that anytime he is on my screen, I just get happy. Like I'm just like, look at him doing his thing out on the island and just being such like he's like that strong silent type. Like he's just there. He's just like like this is a terrible analogy, and I hope that he does better than this guy. But like the first person I thought of when I was like thinking of like who's like another like strong silent type, like I thought of like Rick Nelson from South Pacific, which like
made it far. Made it
to the final 5. Like,
yeah,
that's great. Is Saul gonna win? No, but I like it's kind of the same thing as like how both of you have done your last picks of like, of
Who do
these
you wanna root
last
for?
4, who do I want to root for?
Mhm.
There's just some I can't honestly explain. Like, there is no real reason to it. I will say though, if Saul makes merge, which I think he has a really good shot, like I don't see who's voting out Saul on
Yeah.
this red tribe. He's
No,
their strongest guy. Like, you
by
look at
far.
Saul in these challenges and he is jacked. Like,
Tank.
this man is so strong that like they need him for the challenges. So he's more than likely making merge unless there's some like weird swap where he gets like swapped over to somewhere and they have like enough strong
Like the
he
Yule
gets swapped
situation.
to like
Yeah.
he gets swapped in a situation where it's like him, Sam, Andy, which that tribe's also not losing a challenge at that point.
Right. No, I think
But-
he's a lock for the merge right now. I'll say right now. I think he's a lock for the merge.
and then
I
I
don't see a
think
world where he's
he
pretty much.
can win individual challenges as well at that point too. Like, I
Mhm.
think he would have, like, that was kind of like what really helped me with Bruce was, yeah, there was some of like that confessional airtime thing, but Bruce also beasted some of those early merge comps too, and that helped me get some points.
Right.
And I think Saul could do that as well. But yeah, there's just something about like his like cool demeanor.
Yeah.
Like, you're never gonna see Saul freaking out over something. I don't think. Like, I think he's always gonna be even keel, which I think, like, especially for me in like orgs and stuff, like I like working with the people who are, because I already have so much of that frenetic energy.
Right,
Like,
that's
I
me too,
need
yeah,
someone there that's like more mellow to like balance me out. And I think that someone who is calm and even keel is someone who is a very attractive alliance member.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's good. I think the only issue is just he's gotten nothing so far,
Yeah.
but I do think that's good for his longevity. It's just like, I think there's a risk there of like he ends up getting
Him and
this
Genevieve
weird,
are going to lose me and Zach some points in terms of not getting confessionals. I
but
think.
even like weird like snipe outs where like I look at Sifu, I'm like, why didn't Sifu get confessionals? It's because he ended up being like the merge boot or whatever. So
Yeah.
like Soda, same thing. It's like
Also,
Soda's
like-
such a huge personality and got barely anything. So like, yeah, I don't know.
But
But I
also
like
think
style.
Genevieve has like Heather upside as well of like not getting any content, but like making it really fun.
Don't put that
for
in
no
the universe.
reason.
Genevieve's
Yeah.
first boot friend.
Well, Zach is getting Genevieve, and I think it's interesting because like Zach has Genevieve, I think in spot 15, right above Rome, and I have Genevieve at 16. Like I think Genevieve is going home this week. Let's say I just think it's going to be a very even split in terms of challenge losses. I don't think there's going to be a single tribe that loses everything. So I was like, I think this is Red's chance to lose, and I think if Rome plays his idol, which I think he's going to, I think it would be smart of Teeny, Keyshawn, Asia, and Saul to split their votes on Genevieve. I think it's as simple as that, which makes me think it's not going to be that. But I do think that is the easiest. Like that is the easiest tribe to predict who's going home. I think because like it's very even keel. You split the votes, Genevieve and Rome. Like it's as simple as that. And if they're all idiots and put all their votes on Rome, then one of them deserves to go home. If Rome says I'm going to get out Asia or Teeny, like that is, and I think he would go for Keyshawn over anyone else because Keyshawn was the one who caught him with the box. And Keyshawn doesn't have the miss that Teeny does. I think if he's going to idle out anyone, it's probably Keyshawn. But I think they're all going to go for Genevieve anyway to split votes on because Genevieve likes Rome and wants Rome around. So
which is crazy because there's like the whole part of episode 1 where Teeny's like, I like Genevieve. I want to work with Genevieve. Like I want Genevieve to be in my alliance and we can work together. And then Aisha comes back from the journey and they're like, never mind.
Yeah, it's very weird, and I think that's just a testament to Asia as well. How good she
there
is.
also might be something in there where like,
but like why
that we don't
show
see.
that? Like,
Well, there might be something we don't see of like Genevieve deciding she doesn't want to work with Aisha, and Teeny is
and
like,
Teeny being like, I'd rather work with Aisha.
Or you know what? Maybe Genevieve is in that power structure, and we're just not seeing it. And like it is just those 5 against Rome, but because she's not in the 4. They just think she's expendable and can go. Like I'm actually most interested to see if Red goes because I think Blue, it's like they're gonna get out Kyle with the numbers, or they'll flip back on Tiana if they think Kyle's worth valuable strength. But that 3 is not splitting up. And then I look at Yellow, and it looks like all right, Sam's gonna probably play the idol for Andy and then get out either Annika or Rachel, probably Annika. Like Red is the one I'm most curious about because we don't know who Rome's targeting. He said something about Asia earlier about like, oh, you don't want to go on the journey because it leaves you out, but he didn't overtly say I want Asia out either.
That's
so like
true.
I really don't think we've heard oh my gosh, and Rome is in the chat. What's up, Rome? Loving the coverage. Keep it up.
Rome.
Thanks, Rome. Yeah, we were just talking about
That's
Rome.
crazy.
That's so awesome. Yeah, we were just talking about your Rome. Like, what are you gonna do with that idol? And that's the big question. That's why I want to see this tribe go to tribal because I think Rome could Yo, keep it up. 100%. I think Rome could keep it up. Rome, I picked you on my fantasy team. You're welcome. That's so cool. That's so cool. Poor Zach has to miss that. Poor Zach has to miss that. But yeah, that's our draft. Any other thoughts on the Red Tribe with Genevieve and Saul, the last 2 picks here in the draft?
Just, I love you, Saul. I know Rome's the one watching.
Yeah, only one way to find out.
Rome, you're great too, but I love Saul for some reason.
Yeah,
love that man.
We love that Red Tribe. Honestly, it's a great cast.
Yes,
I think
like
that's
that Red
what's
Tribe.
great.
I see a little bit of like, it reminds me a little bit of like Luvu from 41 that like we're not seeing. I'm hoping that the reason we're not seeing these other people, specifically Saul and Genevieve, is because the tribe as a whole is going to go far and they don't.
We have more time for them,
right?
Because it'll be really sad if like Genevieve goes home next episode and she had a whole episode of no content.
Right.
Like that would really be like crappy of the producers to do to her, regardless of why. Fair. So like as much as I feel like I'm gravitating towards people in the other tribes, like I want this tribe to stick around for those people that aren't getting any content. Because like that's kind of what happened with like Heather and Erica on 41, which like, you know, I have my own issues about how they edited that season, but like at the same time, like they had time to give them more content because they were there the whole season.
And then still didn't
give them content, which is neither here nor there. But like, at the same time, like, I don't know, like I hope for their sake that like they are here longer, because it would be really crappy to like go through a whole Survivor experience and like never see yourself on TV. Like I know if I was on Survivor and I came home and I was third boot and in episode 2 I got no confessionals, I'd be pissed.
Maybe it's as simple as like maybe we see another 45 where like we saw 4 of the final 5 were all of that alliance, right? Drew, Dee, Austin, and Julie, or they're 4 of the final 6 or something. Yeah. So like we could see a world where it is Asia, Genevieve, Saul, and
Keyshawn.
Like Keyshawn or Teeny, you know, like or like that's your alliance, and like Genevieve and Saul are the 2nd and 3rd place, and that's why we're not getting a lot of them, is because they're just going to be sitting in final tribal, and it's like Asia and Teeny, or maybe it's Rome and Teeny. I don't know. Rome's in chat, which makes me want to like just put Rome first. No, but I love that Rome has found this, and I'm glad that we have a great cast to talk about. So I'm just gonna recap. I'm gonna recap everyone's draft boards real quick. Yes. Zach has Teeny, Andy, Sue, and Genevieve. Austin has Sam, Tiana, Keyshawn, and Saul. Saul. I have Sierra, Caroline, Rome, and Annika, and then Ingrid has Asia, Gabe, Rachel, and Kyle. So that is very fun. I will give updates before the episode on Wednesday of what our points are now, because we're gonna adopt points from the past. So like Zach will get that episode title for Sue. He'll also lose a point for Genevieve having no confessionals. So that evens out. Rome will get points. Rome will get points for finding the idol. Gabe will get points. But yeah, it's gonna be very exciting. Do we? I was just going to say, because kind of the shot of the dark, the 1 point, Austin, of like, you get 1 point if it says safe. Should we at least give 1 point if you play an idol? Or no, finding the idol, you get points.
Finding the idol is getting the points.
You get points.
I was going to say, I was like, Gabe should get some points for the idol, even if he didn't, but he does. He gets 5 points for finding it. All right, never mind. Yeah, it'll be very exciting to see how that pans out. And then Zach and I will be back recapping. We'll have to recap Big Brother as well.
So unpredictable.
Oh, so unpredictable. Yeah.
I have one more point thing to throw in there.
Yes, of course.
Should we do like -1 point if you like lose your vote? Like if you get like sent to a journey and you lose your journey challenge?
If you get it back though, like so for example, like Gabe lost his vote until he got it back. Would it be where?
Well, I'm saying more specifically, if
you're
like,
at tribal and it says you cannot vote.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if you make it to a tribal and you don't have a vote at that tribal.
Yeah, like I was thinking that, or I was thinking more so. Yeah, like if you get to a tribal council and you can't vote, that's what I'm saying is like the -1 vote.
Yeah, so -1 if you're a tribal you cannot vote at.
Because I'm mostly thinking of like people who like when they do these journeys and then they all separate ways and they have to like put season logos in order and they don't do it. and they lose
because they're not smart like us.
Or they lose their vote, so they should, in my opinion, like lose a point there.
Yeah. Cool. I like that. So -1 point if you lose your vote and can't vote at the next tribal council, and don't get it back. So beware advantages don't count unless it's a beware advantage and you don't get it back.
If you lose the vote and then in the same episode you find the advantage and you don't, your vote is restored, I feel like that shouldn't count.
Correct.
No. Yeah. But if your vote is still lost by the time you get to tribal, then
cool. If you walk up to the urn and it says "Go back to your seat," -1 point.
Sweet. Yep, I like that. We're adding things as the Game of Survivor does. We're adding things as we evolve.
It's really fun.
We're evolving with the game,
and it's gonna make it more fun than just like, oh, okay, they won immunity, because it ends up being only about immunities and winnings at the end, and I think this keeps it a little fresher, a little more fun.
It's like we do our own draft between the two of us, and then we do it with the friends that we watch with, and all of those are literally just placement, like who has the winner at the end, like that's, and then like with our friends, it's like you had the person who won, you had second place, you had third place, like that's the order that you drafted. So it's fun to do a draft where like there are other things to think about and other things at stake other than just like longevity.
Well, and the draft with the friends we watch with is literally a wheel.
It's a random draft.
It's a random draft.
So last thing I need to do is I'm going to just rattle off Zach's order one more time for power ranking's sake, and then I'll rattle off mine. And then I'll ask you both who you think is like in most danger going into this episode. But for Zach, his top was Teeny. Then he has Asia. Then he has Sam and Sierra and Andy from Yellow. Then on Blue, he has Caroline and Sue at 7. At 8, he has Saul. At 9, he has Annika. He has Annika all the way up at 9. Probably for drafting purposes, maybe, but also, he thinks she's safer. 10, he has Keyshawn. 11, he has Gabe. 12 is where he has Tiana, which is the second least safe blue, but he does have Kyle at 13 as the least safe blue member. As the least safe yellow member, he has Rachel at 14. And then his bottom two are both red. He has Genevieve at 15. And then he was in the chat. We have Zach has Rome at 16. Thinks he's going to fumble that idle play. We will have to see.
You can go be a Zach hater, Rome. It's okay.
My rankings are very different. My rankings, I have Sam and Sierra at the top. I think they're running that tribe. I don't see them going next. And Sam has that one-time idol. Rome is my number 3 because he has that one-time idol. I don't see him going home next. Caroline and Sue are my 4 and 5. I think they're in a good position. I don't think that it's going to flip on them unless it is a tribe strength thing. At 6, I have Teeny. She did get caught with the box, but it seems to be okay for them. So I think it's going to be okay. And then Asia at 7, I think she's also kind of running the tribe alongside Teeny. And then 8, I have Saul. Saul's kind of like that third in command. Like he's the brawn behind their brains. 9, I have Andy because we're supposedly going to see an idol plate on him. 10, I have Keyshawn. I just don't really know where he fits. I think he's in the core alliance, but I don't think he's at the top of it. 11, I have Gabe because there's that potential that he just blew up his spot. Who knows? Kyle is 12, though. I don't have him as the least safe blue. 13, I have Rachel. 14, I have Annika. I think they're at the bottom of yellow. I do have Tiana at 15. I just think if blue loses, I see them keeping Kyle just because they can easily work with him in the future, whereas Tiana's shown she can flip before. And then at 16, I have Genevieve. She's the safest person to put at the bottom. Yes, Austin?
While you were talking, I had one more point thing.
Okay. Yes.
Well, it's kind of similar to like Ingrid's idea of like social capital of getting the 2 points for if you're taken to the end or whatever. I would like to throw out the idea of +1 point if an idol is played on you by someone else.
That's fair.
That's cool. Yeah, because one idol on you.
The person who plays the idol gets the points for the vote that's negated. So say Sam plays
and for finding the idol in the first place. Yeah.
So say Sam plays an idol on Andy.
Yeah.
Sam gets the points for every Andy vote that's negated, but Andy gets a point for the idol being played on him.
Okay, so every vote that Sam negates with the idol.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sam's idol play that is successful.
Let's say four people, or let's say 3 people. The 3 girls vote for Andy, and Sam and Andy vote for someone else. Andy will get 1 vote for getting the idol played on him. Sam will get 3 for negating those votes, and Sam will get the 5 for finding the idol. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. I like that. That's how we'll stick to it.
It adds that social capital because I feel like not to be like this, but like having Kenzie and coming in 4th, like that girl had so much social capital.
Right. Yeah, and it was just such a weird season because no idols were played, which makes it so difficult. Yeah. We didn't really get to see any negative votes. So it was very
right.
weird.
I do think we could have benefited from people losing points for going home with the idol in their pocket.
Right, and that's why we're
literally everyone.
Yeah, I think there's more mistakes that we should honor losing points for. Where like if you lose your vote, if you go home with an idol in your pocket, if you don't get any confessionals, like we should dock you some. So, I'm happy with that. And then the fire making winner gets 3. That would have given Kenzie 3 more points. So, I'm very excited about the season, regardless of how it started. I think it's a good cast, and I'm excited, especially with these power shifts. We've already seen a power shift with TK going home. So like I do think we're gonna keep seeing it. Do you guys have anything to plug out there? Any last remarks? I mean, obviously you're getting married.
We're getting married, so that's pretty cool.
Woo! Next time you see them, they'll probably be married, which is exciting.
I actually had a quick little funny story. I just did my makeup trial for my wedding, obviously, and I was talking about how we met playing orgs and all that kind of stuff, and my makeup artist was like, I think I did a Survivor player's makeup once, but you probably don't know who they are. And I was like, try me. I'm sure I know who they are. I know every single person who's ever played Survivor. And I want to see how long it takes you, Dylan, to figure out who the person is based on what she said to me. Because she kind of gave me like
hints
because she couldn't remember the girl's name at first. And so like she was like, I don't think she was trying to have me guess, but it ended up kind of that way.
All right, let's see.
Okay, so she didn't last very long.
Okay.
She applied as a bit of a joke during COVID.
So she's a recent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When talking about it with her, she said that the reason she applied was because she would watch with her husband and would be like, I think I could do that and I would do really well.
Okay.
But she got out on the island and who do you think it is?
I'm thinking Jem right now.
It's not Jem.
Okay, because I know her husband liked it. So okay, continue.
And I don't even know if this person talked about being married on the island.
Okay.
But she said, but I got out there and like freaked out pretty early on.
Was it Lindsay Carmine?
That was my guess when she said that part to me too.
Let me think. Freaked out early on.
Well, and then the last little hint that like we had in mind for you to keep in mind is this makeup artist works in Maryland. So think about this region.
Yeah, like I was gonna guess maybe what's her name? Mariah? No.
Younger. Well, maybe not, depending on which Mariah you're
Someone who freaked out even earlier than these people.
Not Jeannie.
Not Jeannie.
That Jeannie didn't freak out, but I'm thinking like 41. I'm blanking. I feel bad. Give me a season.
45.
Oh, okay. 45. So it's recent. So it's not going to be J Maya. It's not going to be. Who are the other women that went pre-merge in 45? There has to be. I'm like blanking. Did they make it to our draft? Did one of us draft them?
No.
Oh, so they're earlier. Oh, Hannah Rose.
Hannah Rose.
Okay, that's great. Hannah Rose makeup for a wedding. And it was so funny because she was like, you probably don't know who she is. And I was like, you don't understand. When she went home, it shook the world.
Yeah, that's funny. I was totally thinking like flame outs in terms of
Yeah.
As
soon as she said that it was somebody who like thought they were gonna do well but then freaked out, I was like, oh, it's gotta be Hannah. But I also had that upside of like knowing that she's from the area. And all of that. But like it was so funny to me. So that's like my fun little like Survivor story that I have going on in my life right now.
That's great. Have you heard Kenzie's story of how she got on the show? That she went to it was COVID and she ran out of toilet paper and went to her neighbor's apartment, and her neighbor's a psychic, and her neighbor was watching Survivor on the TV, and Kenzie needed to borrow toilet paper. Was like, "What's that?" And the psychic was like, "Oh, it's Survivor." She goes, "I could see you winning that." And then Kenzie's like, my psychic neighbor told me I could win Survivor.
Oh my god!
And she freaking won Survivor. That woman's legit. That's crazy.
Yeah. thanks for watching, everyone. This was a lot of fun. Always getting to chat with these two about Survivor is always a blast, but also just getting to like draft players and be competitive about it at the same time, because we are competitors, we are orgers. There's a question I always ask at the end of every episode. I'll ask you guys this: who had the recipe for reality this week? Who was the shining star of the episode? This is like the equivalent of like the Fishy Award.
I mean, it has to be Sam, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Sam or maybe Gabe, but
yeah.
I would say Sam.
I would say Sam, just for like the sake of debate. I would also put up somebody like Tiana, because so much of what happened after they lost was centered around her. Even if like, you know, Gabe was kind of the one making the final decision, like they still told the story that way.
Yeah.
And
you know who I might throw out there as well? She made a game-changing move. Rachel, recipe for reality. She quite literally had the recipe. She had the food. Yeah. She had the ingredients in her pockets.
Yes, she did.
I'll say that.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure getting to talk to you guys again and just about this and just catch up.
We love yapping about.
Yeah, we love it. Well, thank you all for listening. Next time, Zach and I will be back covering episode 3 and covering Big Brother, Double Eviction, and the Final 5 boot, which, you know, sounds like it might be more exciting than we think it might be. I'm still paying attention to the feeds. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It could be next level.
Nothing could make me happier.
Yeah, honestly, we need this season to continue delivering.
Yeah,
because they've been all fun.
It's been a great season.
But been a great one. Pour one out for Angela, and we will see you all next time. On behalf of Austin, Ingrid, and myself, and Zach, who's at rehearsal now singing his little heart out, we wish you all the best with the rest of your week, and stay tuned for more. Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Rome, for being in the chat. You rock. Bye.